Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic together. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Quiver and my patrons at patreon.com/ShivamB. Today, I have a guest who my dear friend Artie introduced me to. The author of like a bunch of comic books, including Judge Dredd and like a bunch of other indie books and stuff, and also recent Magic player from the pandemic, which I call everybody recent because like I started 30 years ago. So if you started like 5, you're still a child. Arthur Wyatt. Hello, sir. We've been talking for like half an hour trying to get your microphone to work.
Yeah, we had a whole fun magical adventure no one is going to know about. Which,
you know what? I feel like there was an episode I did with a friend of mine where we talked for 2.5 hours before we remembered we were supposed to be hitting record and taping the show.
Oh, no. Oh.
Because we were just going off as like long-term friends who hadn't talked in a hot minute. And ever since then, I've been very cognizant of the fact that a podcast needs to be on tape or it's not a podcast.
Yeah, and that's just a Zoom call at that point.
Yeah. Also, I show my age by the fact that people are like, why do you keep saying on tape? And I'm like, shut up, child. You don't have the right to talk. Everything is on tape. Okay. Like, even if it's not physical tape, stop.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from an age where like my first computer games I played, they were on cassette tapes. So
yeah, right.
They made a horrible screaming noise as you loaded them.
Oh God, I remember that. I also remember the things like the first games I played, I had to type in from the back of a magazine.
I have done that also, and the sheer joy of finding out that something doesn't work after doing that.
Yeah, or like not knowing what didn't work. You're like, I copied it exactly.
Yeah, and like theoretically, if it's like actual code, you can learn something from figuring out what that does.
I was like 9, dude.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people got kind of clever and they did their listings in sort of, I guess, machine code, because it would be basically just poke and then a series of numbers.
Yes.
And that you cannot debug by hand. You're just shit out of luck. Oh, sorry.
Come on, man. We had a whole half an hour. Anyways, that being notwithstanding, I wanted you on today because of the fact that you have lived 2 very interesting lives, or rather, one very interesting life, and then you also play Magic, which is really the only modus operandi for getting on this show is that I frame it with Magic and then I talk about whatever I want for like an hour. Sometimes the fans stick with me and sometimes they're just like, Shivam, please stop. But you know, like I had the Mountain Goats on this show once and we sat and talked for like 15 minutes about like his standard deck and then 45 minutes about his life as a Hare Krishna in the like late 90s or something. And I was like, great, man, whatever you want to talk about. Wow. I'm here for it. It was a fantastic conversation. It was absolutely fantastic. Nothing to do with Magic. Doesn't even matter. But like, because like, we were talking earlier and you had started playing around Strixhaven on Arena probably, right?
Yeah, so I started playing, so our mutual friend Art was sort of playing Magic a lot.
Yes.
And telling me about it, and I don't know if they were sort of like implying, hey, try this thing out, or they were just sort of telling me about it because it was an interest at the moment. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try that out. I put it on my iPad, which turns out iPad is a really, really great platform for Magic Arena.
Yeah.
I can't really imagine playing it on anything else.
It's wild to think about because of the fact that I remember when they first put the arena on like mobile platforms, and it's like, you mean I could just draft in my pocket? This seems dangerous. Like, this seems
Yeah.
really bad for somebody who needs it. Like, I need to have Magic in a place like on my PC or like at a store where I can sit and disengage with it.
Yeah, it's
Otherwise,
like,
I'm gonna have a
look, the iPad has kind of come everywhere with me and played
yeah.
Magic. So,
Yeah, the problem is though, like at least an iPad is big enough that you can drag and drop and play reasonably. A
yeah.
phone is too small to try to actually do anything with.
Yeah, my kid, for a brief moment, started playing Magic on their phone and got through the arena. Arena, it kind of starts you off with a bunch of color
Yeah,
challenges.
the little tutorials, yeah.
Yeah, and they're almost like semi games, semi puzzles that you do with the
Yes.
mechanics of the game. They got all the way through all of those and actually started playing some games. I think they kind of gave up once they were into actually playing games because
Yeah,
it
playing against
was
actual people.
yeah, playing against actual people on a tiny, tiny square, probably not so fun. So they kind of gave up on that eventually. I'm kind of amazed they got all the way through the color challenges, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the thing. I've always said that like my personal favorite way to play Magic on digital was in the 90s. Sid Meier did a game called Magic the Gathering, which was the first digital version of Magic, and it was a single player roguelike. Basically, you open up a random world, you pick like you pick a color, and then it gives you random cards from that color and like a related color, and then you go and kill people and buy cards from stores in towns or fight
Oh,
duels
wow.
and get cards from Auntie and you put them into your deck. It was called Chandelar, and it's like the best way to play, and it's single player. So it's like you're not worried about like the shenanigans of like, okay, hang on, I have a trigger, so I have to drag and drop this crap and crap. No, it was very linear and easy. And then
I
like
have
on,
literally never heard of that. That
you've
sounds
never heard of it?
amazing.
You can play it there. You can find abandonware versions of it, and people have gone and hacked it and updated with cards through like 2010 or whatever. But it's literally my absolute favorite way to play Magic. It's
Yeah.
just it's so the graphics are hideous, but it's Sid Meier, so the mechanics are fantastic. If you haven't played Chandelar, audience, you guys, I tell you all the time, just go to like any abandonware site. It is the best way to play Magic. Um, but like
I mean,
Arena,
I will mention something. So before I came to Arena,
hmm,
um, and maybe one of the reasons why I was sort of attracted to playing Magic, which was sort of alien to me at the time, is I was playing a bunch of Slay the Spire, which
mm-hmm,
kind of sounds similar to that. In that, like,
yeah,
it's a deck builder. You are building the deck as you go. It's not really like Magic in
it will
that,
not
like,
surprise you that Slay the Spire was developed by a dude who played a lot of Magic.
that
Like,
makes a lot of sense.
like Slay the Spire has a lot of Magic DNA in it. It's definitely. I mean, like the first deck builder ever made was Dominion, the board game, and that
Oh,
was
I
by a
love
guy
that
who
game.
was like, yeah, and that game was created by a dude who was like, I love drafting, I just don't want to play the games afterwards, and he created an entire genre of game which is literally just the draft, right? Like I
Yeah.
draft cards, I put them into my deck to get more cards and draft more cards, and then that became the entire deck builder genre. And but all of the people who make deck builders are basically doing that. They're like, I love this part of Magic, so I'm going to build an entire game that focuses on just this chunk.
Yeah, I played a bunch of Dominion. So I was lucky enough that I worked at a place for a while that there was someone who was really into Dominion and wanted to play it on their lunch breaks. And they had all of the sets, which get pricey. So
Yeah.
we kind of benefited from his willingness to buy all the sets and, put them all in the little sort of sheaves so they're kind of like nicely protected and, did all of the stuff and also explained the rules to us pretty
I
consistently,
mean, look,
which
the only thing a board gamer wants is other people to play board game with. They will bring the whole rest of everything. You just need to sit down and do the playing part.
yeah, I mean it's kind of similar to role playing games as well.
Yes.
I'm having a little bit of a TTRPG renaissance at the moment. I sort of ran into some people at a party who like said, "Yeah, we're trying to find someone to play Pathfinder," and I was like, "I haven't played anything for decades, but I am straight in." All just came straight back, and
It's
now
so
I'm a
cool. I mean,
teenager again.
I mean, that's the thing. Like D&D is like riding a bicycle, right? Like you don't forget how to do that. And Pathfinder is nothing if not just 3.75e, right? Like it is just D&D 3rd edition plus plus.
Yeah, and there's some stuff in it that's sort of different from what I remember of Dungeons and Dragons, because there's like this 3-point action economy, which means you kind of, whenever you go into an encounter, suddenly you're playing XCOM, and I'm like, yes.
Well, yeah, okay, like add 20 years of game development to that,
Yeah.
you get there. But the reason that I find you interesting is like because I find it very fascinating. Because one of the things is I was one of the people who used to run Commander, which is the biggest way to play Magic on paper, and also as a liaison for like the Commander format and also for Wizards in general. Just I'm always interested in how people find the game and how people deal with the learning curve, and also just acclimating themselves to this flood of cards. And like coming during pandemic and during lockdown was like the golden era of people discovering and coming into Magic. And it was also combined with some of the most complicated sets ever made.
Well, also, like, Commander was the entry format for a lot of people.
Which is insane to me.
Not me, but like, and Commander seems like a kind of a hard mode Magic. It's like it's singleton.
It's like 100 cards, singleton, thematic
entire history of the game. You kind of got to learn which cards throughout the entire history of the game are kind of like semi-obligatory ramp cards, and which ones are like have synergy, which may be like synergy between cards released a decade apart, or more.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. If you're building a cat deck or something, it's easy to just say, I'm going to
totally build cat decks. That's my thing.
Look, but like, I mean, cats are the most one of the, like, I think they're the second most popular creature type. Like it's like dragons and elves and cats or something like that. Because, and all the cat decks are ridiculously powerful. Like but if you're playing just like a thematic creatures deck or something, it's easy to just say, take all of the good cards of this type, put them in a pile. It's when you get to weird combos and like, okay, this card that was released in 1998 and this card that was released in 2004, when I play them together with this card from 2019, bad things happen to you. And it's like, what, why? But
I just feel a little kind of, I don't like the infinite combos so much. It always feels a little off when someone does that to me. I guess if I managed to successfully do that to someone else, I'd probably feel differently about
it. There's a joy in building a Rube Goldberg machine and then watching it pop off, right? Yeah. But like for me and my friends, the limiter was always, you don't get to do it before turn like 6 or 10 or something like that, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to actually play and build and develop. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, the game's got to end. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I mean, my dominoes fall.
My pop-off is really, I tend to play Ginny Fey a lot, and so my pop-off tends to be, I'm making lots and lots of tokens, and then there's lots and lots of cats, and then you boost the cats somehow, and then you just swarm attack, and that Ginny never gets old for me.
Yeah, Ginny Fey is what I call the cover your playmat and cardboard deck, right? Like you're just spewing out tokens and they're just dogs and cats everywhere.
Probably an important arena difference actually is when I've played, I haven't played that much in person, but when I've played in person and I've gone sort of even moderately into tokens, management becomes much more of a hassle than like on arena where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm all in, press the button, go.
I mean, look, dude, I play token decks exclusively, and it ends up being you're right, there's a lot of fiddling and a lot of management. One of my good friends runs a company called Infinite Tokens, which are basically little kind of dry erase marker playing card size.
I've seen those. Those are neat.
So you can just write on them. It becomes way easier when you just have to write soldier once and then X 35 on it instead of having to manage 35 thingies.
Having them all flying across the board on arena is pretty fun. Well, yeah, impressive.
Dude, if I showed you the tokens, like right now, let me show you this thing. So I just built a deck based on the Final Fantasy cards that came out this summer. And one of the creatures in there is a dude named Firion. And one of the things he does is when you play an equipment, he will make a copy of that equipment and let it be cheaper
Oh
for you to
man.
equip. And if you recall from Final Fantasy, there were a bunch of job select equipments which come into play and create a hero token and then equip
Uh-huh.
themselves to that. So with
So you get
Furion, I
two.
make that and then I get a dude and the equipment, and the dude sticks around even though after the equipment's gone. Well, my friend created all of these cute little wooden Final
Oh.
Fantasy 1 era like tokens for those at home. Peachy Pop cosplay built this whole thing of just incredibly sick. Like they're all the heroes from Final Fantasy One, and so like
Oh
this is super
wow.
fun to come out and just dump them on the table, and they make a nice clicky because you laser burned them, burnt them with lasers, whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about, but laser
Yeah.
printed.
The
Anyways,
laser etching. They make an incredible
yes,
sound.
there's such a clack, and it's so fun. It's just like I love that,
Yeah.
and then you've got this
Um
tactility to it.
that rocks. I've got a friend who's really into Final Fantasy. I've totally got to show him. Well, I
Oh
guess I
yeah.
can show them the podcast, but
Yeah, like
they're going to be very impressed.
oh dude, I go out like in my signature deck is a soldier's deck run by a dude named Tajik, and in
Mm,
it every soldier token I have was either done on a blank magic card or an artist proof, and it was
mm.
either drawn by an artist in Magic or one of the designers in Magic. So I've got like Mark Rosewater's doodles, or all these other famous people, and I've got like hundreds of them. So I
Oh,
just pull out this
nice.
pile of like custom drawn tokens, and it is my favorite thing. Um, but before this, you were known for being a comics writer, though, right? Like in
Yeah. So
yeah, I
so
guess you should
it's
tell the
kind of weird.
audience like who you
Okay,
are.
my claim to fame. I am probably there are probably about 4 or 5 people in the world right now that write Judge Dredd on a semi-regular basis. So Judge Dredd, for people who don't know, British comic, runs in 2000 AD, which is a weekly anthology comic. Um,
Judge Dredd
uh,
is famous, man. People know who Judge Dredd is.
People don't watch the movie, you'll get it. The movie pretty much the good movie.
Not the one with Stallone.
Not the one with stuff, which has its charms, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
care for Um, but yeah, part of this thing is it just runs week after week in this British anthology comic. So it used to be like John Wagner pretty much wrote most of the early ones along with Alan Grant. There were a few by Pat Mills, who was, basically the original creation of Judge Dredd is sort of somewhat complicated. Pat Mills came up with a name, wanted to do a thing about a supernatural hanging judge. It went back and forth. It somehow became a Dirty Harry copy, who was judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah, and then they passed it to a Spanish artist called Carlos Esquera. He did this amazing design for Judge Dredd, which originally they were like, this guy looks like a Spanish pirate. It's weird, but it's stuck. And then he also did this incredible future city that ended up being put at the end of the first episode, which kind of made it go from sort of near future, sort of round about the time, like think Rollerball or Death Race 2000.
Right.
And then they did like this final full page at the end of the first episode of this incredible future city. And then after that, it was like, now it's all set in Mega City 1, which is like 100 years in the future. And it's got all kinds of crazy aliens and robots and stuff.
It's a while. I mean, it was like the early comics are so weird looking for Judge Dredd, but I mean, it's the 70s, so it looks almost like he's got like a football helmet that sort of looked like a bug's head almost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool though, and it definitely had like it had the same kind of tone of like a post-apocalyptic futuristic kind of just like I am the law type of stuff. But yeah, so wait, so how did you get to working on that?
So, I mean, I kind of just grew up with that and absorbed it. And sort of later on, when I sort of got into writing comics for 2000 AD a little bit, I got into writing comics for 2000 Eve via doing sort of little 5-page shorts called Future Shocks, which is actually sort of one of the earlier forms of comic that Alan Moore did was a bunch of Future Shocks for 2000 AD. So
Mm.
they tend to be like very short stories with a twist.
Man,
So it kind of went from that and then sort of scaled up to doing some sort of other high profile stories. And then Dredd, I actually got into doing that by doing the tie-in comic to the 2012 movie.
oh,
So my earliest Dreads, I did a couple of stories set in the regular Dredd world, and then I did my first ones with actual Judge Dredd himself, were the movie tie-in comics.
that's cool.
Yeah, which is really cool to do and to think about because it's sort of basically taking a thing I knew very well and looking at this other modality of it and saying, how do we translate the movie of a comic into a comic? And I wanted to really kind of keep that kind of gritty tone that it had,
Mm.
and sort of the limitations of doing a movie version of something, and almost kind of play those up a little bit.
Mm.
So obviously, like Comics Judge Dredd, you can do all kinds of fantastical things, and you can have like it's one of these omni settings that just sort of absorbs everything. So it'll have robots, it'll have aliens, it'll have etc. etc. Movie Dread is more just like criminals and
Yeah.
future crime. Um,
So did you wrote on the Carl Urban movie? It's like 2012-ish or something?
so this was like nothing to do with the movie people at all, but like basically the continuation of it. So
Mm. Mm.
it's like the comic book sequel. I kind of don't like to say it's the sequel because really only the movie sequel would be the
Sure.
sequel, but like
But
it's
it's
as
in
good
the
as you're
sense of
gonna
like
get.
you watch the movie and then you get to read the book and get continuing stories thereof.
hmm
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, and then I sort of went from that to doing some sort of more regular Judge Dredd stuff. And then recently I had one that really kind of kicked off kind of big. So I did this sort of long running storyline with another writer, Rob Williams. Uh, there was, I guess, the sort of like high level pitch of it would be like defund Judge Dredd. So there's a big disaster in Mega City 1, which is a frequent occurrence there. One of the accounting judges, because like basically the entire bureaucratic infrastructure of Mega City 1 is judges, which is their police force. So
Mm.
they even have like med judges and account judges. So their account judge kind of looks through the numbers and kind of figures out that it would be much cheaper to, instead of going all in on rebuilding with more sort of essential frontline police, it would be cheaper to just use the money to reorganize society to make it better somewhat and reduce crime that way.
What a
Which,
thought.
and she does the numbers and she does a bunch of simulations and it works out and it's gonna work. And it turns out to be enormously unpopular.
I can't imagine.
So that storyline kind of ran for a while, and it was kind of big. It's collected in A Better World, which I would totally recommend picking up. I feel weird picking up my own stuff, but like I have a co-writer and a great artist, so I can big them up.
Okay, so I want to ask some questions. So, like, one of the most famous guys in Magic the Gathering is a gent named Brian David Marshall. And Brian David Marshall was a comics publisher and a comic writer, and he worked on a Marvel thing a long time ago, and he also like had his own like independent publishing lines and loves comic books, and then became hardcore into Magic, ran some of the first Magic tournaments. So that's kind of like the extent of my comic knowledge. But one thing I've always been curious about from the writer perspective, because comics are an artist's interpretation of what you're writing. But when you're writing,
Right.
are you writing like stage direction alongside the bubbles? Like, how do you like? What does
I
a
mean,
script look like?
it's very like that. So if you can kind of imagine this, you've got a page, it's going to have a bunch of panels on it. So you would basically write page 1, panel 1, Dredd on a bike, and then Dredd, Drock.
And then they will sit and draw that out.
And they will draw that. Normally, it'll be a little more elaborate than that in terms of what you do. And there isn't really, like, that's a fairly orthodox way of doing it. There's no really super set way of doing it. There's people who do very rough outlines and hand it to artists. There's a lot of people who are just sort of like straight up artists who are like writers as well, who may launch into just drawing the whole thing, or they might thumbnail it, or they might do a full script like I would. So there's a lot of different ways to make comics. Most people I know that got into comics, they kind of just started doing it one day.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, you're writing a short story, and then you're just kind of breaking it into bubbles and figuring out how to go.
It's a very doable medium, and you can almost like I saw a guide in a kid's book recently to making your own sort of starter zine, and it's basically take a sheet of paper, fold it 6 ways so you make a little booklet, draw a picture on each page of this booklet and some words. There's your first comic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I'm asking more from like the perspective of like, so I've been like invited to write some short stories myself now, and I've just been looking into like what is it like for people who have to write in this medium, and like in the sense of like you have to be pithy, you have to be descriptive and to the point that like your artist knows what you're talking about, and also the reader can follow the story. And it's one thing to like in text, I can sit and write out, the building was 12 feet tall and, hung with panoramic views of the blah, blah, blah. But like when you're relying on the artist to translate your thoughts into a medium that somebody can look at, you have a lot of trust in your artist, obviously, to know what you're talking about. But like, have you ever gotten something where you wrote a script and the artist comes back and you're like, that's not what it's supposed to be?
I mean, I have, I definitely prefer to talk about success stories where I've written something simple and they've come back with something amazing. There have been a couple of times where I've been slightly underwhelmed. There have been a couple of times where they have drawn something that is a reasonable interpretation of what I've written, but then I'm thinking, oh, I should have written that this person for sure should have been wearing clothes, or
right.
or that's just an example I'm kind of thinking of. But
sure.
Like, this should have been indoors, and I didn't say that, and now for some reason it's outdoors. Or actually, I was kind of thinking this was happening on an arid desert planet, and there's trees here. I should have written, don't put trees everywhere.
Yeah, I guess there is that, which is like, you need to actually be descriptive enough that the artist understands what your intention is, so that later on when the story's continuing, you don't write yourself into a corner.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time I work with people I know quite well, and there's a certain degree of synergy. Sometimes you're in a situation where it's more like there's a script and it gets sort of thrown over the fence to someone else and they pick it up and they draw it and there's no real communication between the two of them. That's much tougher. I will tend to be more descriptive on a script if I'm doing it that way and I know I'm doing it that way.
Because, okay, well, let's talk about the good parts then instead of the like the fumble. I guess I probably shouldn't have started with that one, but it's more like I'm just thinking in terms of like what do I want personally to learn from. But yeah, like I'm assuming you, like every other comic artist, is at a time where it's like Judge Dredd rides over the hill, and suddenly you come out and there's this 2-page spread, and you're like, holy crap, that's insane.
I mean, this story that I worked on recently, I worked with this artist called Henry Flint. He is literally an amazing artist. He's just like incredible in everything he does. He decided for some reason, and I have to stress that I did not force him into this, he decided that he would take these scripts that are like 6 or 7 panels per page, and he would kind of break down and decompose them into this sort of 15-panel grid where each of these panels became multiple panels and it split up the action and the layout became very dense and intricate. And it looked amazing. And that's kind of
It's so cool.
the moment you kind of live for when you're writing these things, is the artist sort of saying, okay, wait a second, drawing something and then coming back and you're like, that is both not what I would have expected, but also beyond my wildest dreams for it.
Yeah, right. Like you're like you have no perspective. Like, because for instance, I worked on the Tomb Raider game that's going to be coming out the next year, and I got to help with doing story and like world concepting and stuff like that. And everything I saw was just like text boards and like maybe some blank images. Like the artist would send like, does this costume look right? And then I saw the trailer at the when it aired on the Game Awards or for the first time.
Yeah. I
And I'm
have
like,
not seen that yet.
And I was like, holy crap, this thing I did is in motion. And it's like the first time I've ever seen that. I've worked in the video games industry before. I've worked on games before, but I've never seen something where I literally made a description and now it's walking.
Yeah.
And that's like the most insane feeling. And I can only imagine the first time you get a comic book back that you wrote and you see what this artist has done. You're like, holy crap, I did that.
Yeah. And comics are like one of the shorter feedback loops that you can do that on. So,
yes.
I think I just lost audio.
No, you're still here. I still got you. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I just lost audio on one AirPod.
Oh.
Okay,
well,
so we'll have to edit around this a little. I might at some point have to cut short or recharge an AirPod.
Oh.
In fact, let me see. Am I still on this one?
Yes. Hello?
Okay. It is just going to look slightly odd that I am going to be going from one AirPod to, from two AirPods to one AirPod. And I'm just going to charge this one for a bit because I have a feeling the other one will eventually...
Yeah, it'll eventually need to be swapped out.
Yeah.
It's okay. I may cut this. I may leave it in. Depends on the whim when I'm editing.
People will get a very fun time. I mean, if they are listening to this, they should know that we went through this whole thing for about half an hour.
Yeah. Look,
maybe
man,
longer.
As long as you're not spitting or coughing into the microphone, people are okay with it. Like, people get really upset if you're eating or if you're crunching or making very dysphonious sound, but like sometimes we have just microphone fails. It's a podcast, it happens. But let's go back to talking about Magic for a second though. So you obviously, if you've had a history with TTRPGs and Slay the Spire and stuff like that, coming into Arena where it's literally just, what do you think of the Arena tutorials and the learning thing? Like, how much
very interesting.
Game?
I don't know how much. I don't know how much the color challenge gives you a sense of what an actual game is going to be like. I think they're important and useful because they kind of show you, what mana color is, which is going to be useful. And they give you an idea of what types of things they are. And it gives you a few mechanics. But I think you do have to kind of go in at the sort of deep end of playing a couple of games against real people to really get an idea of what the game is like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think a little bit of the background in playing other games is sort of useful for that. I think I got ramped up pretty quickly. Strixhaven had some odd mechanics that I don't think I've really seen much employed since then. Like the learn mechanic, I think was just for that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Every set has its own brand new mechanics.
Yeah, and that's been actually a really great thing.
Yeah, there's a few mechanics that transpose the entirety of Magic, like flying or trample or whatever. But like, for instance, Spider-Man had web sling and web on Arena, right? Like Strixhaven had learn lesson, and like Kaldheim had boast. It's just each set's gimmick is like its own set of mechanics. And sometimes if we're lucky, they'll bring mechanics back that we can use for Eternal decks to build off of. Like, for instance, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the set that just came out, has a lot of lesson cards, but no learn cards. However, if you are playing a paper version of Magic that doesn't care about, formats or anything, you can play all those old Strixhaven learn cards with these new Avatar lesson
Yeah.
cards
I
and
mean, you
still
could
use
totally
them.
do it. You can do historic. So
Nobody does historic.
I do historic because I kind of dropped out of standard a little bit ago. So I'm doing a lot of historic at the moment.
Yeah.
They sort of upped the tempo on new sets, and I was just sort of, I can't keep up with this.
Actually, that's exactly the question I wanted to ask you, because this is my job, right? Like paying attention to Magic is my job. Paying attention to cards is my job. I have to deal with this. You, as a player, what is it like having to deal with the fact that even from Strixhaven to now, the release schedule is compressed and increased so heavily? Like
I mean,
during the Strixhaven time, we had like 4 sets a year.
Yeah, I used to really like new sets. Now I'm like, I will check out the new set and I'll leave. I probably won't ignore a set, but I will probably go deeper into some rather than others. So, Final Fantasy, I think I was like, Final Fantasy, I don't really know much about Final Fantasy. Am I going to be into this one? And then it came out and I started playing it, and that is a great set. Like, it's
real talk, as somebody who's played since forever, Final Fantasy is one of the best sets of all time.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
genuinely
that
one of the best
sets over to the point where I started playing Final Fantasy, the actual game Final Fantasy. So that's a win. That didn't really happen quite so much with Avatar. I don't know. It's not a property I'm familiar with, so I haven't really gone in deep with it. One I really, really liked was Edge of Eternity. But I feel like that one almost got screwed over a little bit. And it's kind of
did. Edge of Eternities so Edge of Eternities had 2 problems. One, it's following up one of the most popular sets ever made in Final Fantasy. And 2, it was like doing space stuff. So thematically, it was already kind of in its own weird place.
But it's very Magic space stuff.
Yeah, it is. But it's also then immediately got followed up by Spider-Man, and the window for playing Edge of Eternities got like shrunk even farther.
I think
you can't find it in paper anywhere.
I think even before they released it, they were previewing Spider-Man over the top of it.
Yeah.
I feel bad for it because it's great. I mean, we were talking about mechanics. We were talking about mechanics earlier. It's got some really fun mechanics in it. So, know, I really like Station and Warp. Like, Station and Warp are both cool mechanics on their own, but together they really work really well together. It's like you do Station, you do Warp, you get like a bunch of
it makes you feel stationing. So smart, doesn't it?
Yeah, just like a really good Magic deck, I guess, feels like a sort of set of Lego where you just find the 2 pieces that go together, and those are 2 pieces that go really well together just in one set.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess synergy of the parts of the set is sort of an important thing in what makes
sometimes it's more hidden and it's more like subtle, and you have to be a good player and you have to work your way through it and advance and find your way. And sometimes they're like, look, we're following up a set where a lot of new people came in. We're going to have to make this a little bit, put slot A into tab B, and or tab A into slot B, and it's going to be very linear and very easy to grok right away. Like, but you still feel clever. You're like, oh, because they don't explicitly tie together, but you're like, oh, I have this station. If I warp this dude in, I can tap it, station this guy, and warp him out. And it's like, holy crap, I feel so smart. But
and there's guys you can warp in that are like 9/9. So like you can warp in a 9/9 guy, station your stuff, warp him out, and like there's some of those things you can station and actually bring back a lot of mana, so you can then bring your guy back. And,
exactly. You feel incredibly smart by doing that. It's so good. Yeah. And like I think honestly the best Magic sets are the ones that make you feel like that, where you're like, you feel like you're pulling one off that like the designers didn't intend you to do. But no, they very clearly telegraphed and built that to be a feel-good moment. And there's this notion in design of game design where you're like, you should make sure the thing that you want the players to do is also the fun thing to do, right? Yeah. Like it should feel good to do this. And even if it's like the powerful tournament thing, it should still feel like, oh, this is great. And I feel really cool by doing this.
Yeah.
Where
I mean, I have to say, I never really got that from the spider decks. Whatever the big thing of that is was not clear to me, and web did not seem fun. So
basically what happened is that Marvel Snap exists, and Marvel Snap owns all the digital rights for Marvel.
yeah, I
So
mean,
what
I
happens?
would be having a super lot more fun if I. Well, I mean, I don't. I'm in two minds about this because part of me is like grouchy about Universes Beyond. Part of me is like, if it fits and works, I really love it. So I loved that Final Fantasy one. I
Yeah,
don't know how I'd feel about Spider-Man if I was playing the actual Spider-Man. It would be cooler because it's Spider-Man and all these
I mean, like, look, I got this cool
cards.
split apart card, right? It's like Spider-Man being cut in
uh,
half by I don't know, no, the Green Goblin or something, and
uh,
it looks really cool. It's actual comic art by some comic artists. My eyes are bad; I can't read it. But
uh,
the point is, though, it's like they did some really sick card designs that make it
mm,
look like comic panels going down and like using original
uh,
artwork and everything. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. However, there's also a card that is a bagel card, and there's a
uh,
card that's a guy in a chair and like New York subway station. I'm like, Lord of the Rings felt like magic. Final Fantasy felt like magic. Even
yeah.
Avatar feels like magic. Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't have a hard line, but it's sort of a weird set of line. Here's the weirdest one. I've played the commander decks for Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
Those feel
Oh,
like
those
they
are
totally fit in.
well.
Yeah,
Warhammer was amazing because it was the guy who designed it, Ethan Fleischer, is a diehard Warhammer player who has also been a longtime Magic designer. So he's been
yeah,
sitting on these for a long time,
yeah.
and
That comes through.
it turns out that you can make the sickest possible thing that feels both like Warhammer and like Magic. And like, dude, those decks are unbelievably good.
Uh,
They're so much fun.
Um, the other one is sort of slightly unlikely that felt totally fitting is the Fallout commander decks. They felt really like they fit. I
I
only really played them against each other though, so maybe they would start seeming a bit weirder played against.
honestly, I keep a lot of those mysteries Universe Beyond sets together as just
Hmm,
sort of like a board game. So I'm like, hey, let's play the Fallout decks, let's play the Doctor Who decks, whatever. So they're
hmm,
thematically related. When you're playing the cards, they all feel like they're not clashing. It's not like, oh yeah, it's Jedit O'Jonan versus the 13th Doctor. And it's like, what? I don't know what the
yeah.
hell's going on.
But I've
But
been I've been playing games. I have a friend I play like actual real world Magic with. I was playing against. I forget which of her decks it was, but it's like a green red, and she plays Shadows of the Warp, and that's like totally a Warhammer card, but it feels like it fits,
yeah, but
and
then
it
there's like Blood for the Blood God, which is like a very Warhammer card.
that always fits.
It's a sick card too. It does like eight. Anyways, I don't know crap about Warhammer, but I definitely love the Warhammer cards.
I,
And
I'm just doing an exchange.
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Uh,
that's
I know far too much about Warhammer. I don't. I mean, I
well,
know
you're
a
British.
normal amount about Warhammer for a British nerd. I think is
Dude, when I was in England this summer, I saw so many Games Workshop stores just up and down the country. I was like, "Oh, they're down bad for Warhammer here."
it is a major industry. It's
It's
like
like a national religion right up there with cricket and tea.
yeah, I mean, people like to think of like the national industries of like stuff like coal mining or something, but like Warhammer is a significant portion of the GDP.
Yeah, if the Church of England ever banned Warhammer, you would see a basically mass emptying of the pews.
Yeah, which I mean, I could see them doing
Maybe
it.
not the worst thing, but
I mean, Warhammer is sort of this weird sort of like I think it's like semi-Catholic, but sort of weird schism era Catholic.
yeah,
So it's like the Holy Roman Empire in space.
yeah. It's just my only problem is I'm very bad at painting minis. Otherwise, I would have totally gotten into that. And I already have one collectible hobby. I cannot have two. My wife would divorce me.
Yeah, I mean, like I looked at the prices of the minis recently. I was playing the Space Marine game, and like they have everything in that game. There is a mini of, and I looked up how much the minis are, and I'm like, no, that's too much.
Yeah, but you know what though? I do like seeing it in Magic, and I think it does such a good job of bringing new fans in and also giving us cool cards. Because one thing you find is when designers love the thing they're working on, like the Final Fantasy set was built by a guy who was a lifelong diehard fan of Final Fantasy, and it shows. It's both great Magic and great Final Fantasy. Avatar's the same way. Spider-Man feels like we had a contractual obligation to make Spider-Man cards. You know, it's like you can see that you could taste
the Marvel one looks good though. Like I've seen some pretty cards from Marvel, and they're like there's like one
that looks
like
way better.
There's one that's like the coming of Galactus, and it's like the entire Galactus saga in one card. So it's like ominous.
I like the way the Fantastic Four were set up in that. Like the 4 cards could either of them could be the leaders. They all look really cool. They mechanically look really cool. They look super fun. And I don't even like the Fantastic Four. I'm an X-Men guy going way back.
Hey, it's all Kirby.
Yeah. Look, I grew up watching 1990s cartoons, so my X-Men are very much like Children of the Atom era X-Men. Would you want to see Judge Dredd Magic cards? What would that look like to you?
I mean, I definitely I think there's definitely a collectible card game in there. I have actually sort of thought about like, you know, various 2000 AD stuff, how I could make it sort of gamic, I guess. The one I thought about the most is actually less Judge Dredd and more this thing I write called Intestinals, which is...
The Intestinals?
The Intestinals. They're tiny medical robots. So what you do is you have a stomachache, you take an intestinals pill. They go inside you and they fight all the parasites and stuff inside your body and come out the other end. Then they dissolve and their consciousnesses are uploaded to the server and they go into the next set of pills.
That sounds like a manga almost. That feels like a very Japanese premise.
So yeah, I've written that, and I work with an artist on that who's sort of very graphic design orientated. So we've kind of built a lot of game elements into it. We've got a sort of choose your own adventure episode of that, and we put a maze in one. And what I'm trying to make happen is a board game that I was thinking of a card game for a while, but it would have to be across 5 pages. You can't get enough cards on 5 pages to. Yeah, so I'm kind of trying to do some of the energy of that with dice rolls. I don't know if it'll work. But that one I thought about.
My friend BDM, man. I think you would get along with Brian David Marshall very well because he just put out a new game, which is also based on some comic property he came up with. And it's like the original demo decks came out in like cassettes. Like they basically put the cards in like old cassette things that look like the 80s. It's very cool. I will send you his information later because I think you guys would be very good friends. But yeah, man, this has been a really cool chat. Like I'm like, it's so fascinating because like Judge Dredd is such a British comic and it's such an iconically British thing, even though like we have some awareness of it in the States, especially from like the fact that there were 2 movies done. And Carl Urban is awesome. I love him as an actor. So he was much better at Dredd than Sly Stallone was.
I don't think Stallone was a good fit.
But he looked cool in the suit. So there was
that was a very cool suit. I mean, I think in a way that suit was more the kind of comics suit, but the one that Urban had was one that would actually work as an action movie. So, like, because that actual outfit doesn't really translate into the real world at all, I think.
Yeah.
He's wearing like a sofa on his shoulders.
Man, I'm reading like the first few pages of Better World, and the art is so good.
Isn't it?
Like, God damn, it looks cool.
Yeah, and
Okay, I'm gonna need to actually
we
go
got a
like
couple
really
of
through them.
artists in that because we kind of got Boo Cook and I
Yeah,
think
I'm
Jake
looking at the ones
Bates
by
had
Henry
this.
Flint.
But Henry Flint, like, is probably the Judge Dredd comic artist of the moment.
Yeah, it looks really, really stylish.
And
Very
you see
cool.
what I mean about how he split up the panels?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I have to say, I would not bring an artist a script that was like, okay, you're doing 15 panels for this page. I just, that would be crossing a line unless you like really, really knew them and they approached you at a pub one day and said, I really want to do a 15 panel page. Then you'd maybe do that.
Yeah, because that's like just mean, man, to ask them to like do that kind of stuff. But this guy, you know
but if
what
they're
this
just
art
going to
reminds me of?
volunteer to do that, I will take that. They
It
make me
reminds
look
me of
great.
like it reminds me of the vibe of like Mobius and that
Yeah.
kind of like French comic style.
Uh-huh.
It's very cool.
He's
Man, I'm
got
gonna
a
have to
lot of
actually look through.
Mobius going on.
Yeah. Mobius is so sick. Anyways, man, this has been a fantastic chat, and I really appreciate you suffering through an hour of tech delays but getting to it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you enjoyed me sort of like discussing like every Magic Arena set I've played.
You know what, man? You don't get it. I literally do this all day. I will talk about any Magic, anything with anyone all the time. But that is why this is my job and passion. But if folks wanted to find you or your comics or anything, where could they go?
So online, I'm really just on Blue Sky at the moment.
Aren't we all?
And if you want to find my comics, you can sort of just search my name on, the Bald Devil's website or other places. And you're
still writing, right? Like you're still putting these things out?
Oh yeah, I got another one with Henry Flint coming pretty soon. It's kind of a sequel to that. I've seen the first pages and they're even better.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
Is amazing. Yeah, and that comes out weekly. You can actually, it tends to be a bit harder to get the physical copies in the US, but you can actually get it on the app, and that's actually a pretty fine way of reading it. So I can play both Magic Arena and read 2000 AD on this trusty iPad. And I write the comic on the iPad too. So,
oh, that's cool.
This iPad does a lot. It's falling to pieces a little, but it's a trusty warhorse.
Don't let Apple hear
it actually does not fit a lot more than Magic on it anymore. I think because the file sizes have just increased over time.
Well, and the fact that every like week or 2 weeks you get another 7 gig download from friggin' Magic Arena. It's like, hey, here's the next set.
I mean, I think I sort of started talking about that a little, and I didn't really finish the thought. But I don't exactly mind it, but it means I have gone from like doing every single one and building a deck around it to being more pick and choose, or just playing like various historic decks I've set up and just noodling on them over time. And then there's Brawl, which is sort of an interesting Commander-ish format. That can be kind of fun, but it makes me want to play Commander.
Yeah. Look, I loved Brawl when it was standard Brawl, when it's just like you get 2 years worth of sets and you have to build a Brawl deck out of it. That was super fun and really enjoyable. And everybody else is like, we want to play Commander. So now it's just Dual Commander. And Dual Commander is not my favorite way to play Magic, but who am I to complain, I guess?
I mean, I think I've heard that they've played with making it multiplayer, like more
it
than
is
two
very
players,
hard in the UI for Arena.
The UI would be a nightmare. I've played the online version of Dominion with like 4 players, and that was like every time you change player, it kind of shifts the view of everything, and everyone else kind of disappears into a corner. And I think it would have to be like that, but it's kind of a horrible experience.
Magic Online has a Commander variant that was hand-coded by one of the Magic Online devs because he was just like, I want to play Commander and we're just going to make it work on online. And it feels like somebody hacked and patched in a thing just ad hoc, and nobody is able to figure out how to make a viable multiplayer Commander like software. And I think the first person who does will after they get sued out of business by WotC, make $1 billion working for WotC to actually put the implementation together. But nobody has figured out how to do it yet. And it's really hard. And I think that's one of the key things that keeps Paper Magic going is the fact that you can't do this online easily in a fun way. I mean, even playing something as stupid as like Uno online with multiplayer is hard to do, let alone Magic.
Yeah, like I said, the Dominion one was kind of fun, but like you basically, if you knew Dominion and you had a model in your mind of what was going on, you could kind of interpret that from the interface.
Dude, Dominion, the reason I stopped playing Dominion is because I could be in this room, you could be 3 states over, we could just play and compare our end decks, and that would, like, there's no interaction.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about it. Is like later, Magic, you need to know what they're doing to you at any time. Dominion, they maybe do something that interacts with you, but maybe not.
Yeah, and it was just like, anyways,
yeah, sorry, I just built in like a whole end section.
You know what, man? I'm all about it, dude. I don't care. This is my show. I'm the editor, so I get to decide how long it ends up being. But still, though, that was a lovely conversation. I really appreciate you coming on. And Judge Dredd does look really sick.
Yeah,
but as
if
always,
you want any comics, I will send them over.
I do. I would love to read it because I want to read A Better World. That looks really cool.
Okay, you are getting some comics.
Well, dude, I've never said no to anything. But that should be for offline. But that being said, as always, my friends, you can find me on Blue Sky at Shivam Bhatt. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts are sold or at YouTube every Tuesday, thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on Shivam Wheel of Love Magic podcast or the Chronicles of Dragonlance. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.